Let's begin our story too. His name was Elijah Grant, and there were 3 moments in his life that he never spoke of. Not to friends, not to family, not even to the woman he married. But they lived inside him, waiting, sharp and silent, like splinters under skin. He used to think the world was solid, understandable, logical. But as the years passed, he began to suspect something else lived beneath the surface of ordinary things. Something that watched, and sometimes revealed itself. The first time it happened, Elijah was 20, living in a modest apartment on the edge of Asheville, North Carolina. He shared the place with 2 friends, and they were young, reckless, and happy in the way only people with no idea of real consequences could be. The apartment was cozy, old wooden floors, chipped paint, that faint scent of mildew in the closets that no amount of cleaning ever erased. It was nothing special, but it felt like home. Elijah's room faced the street, where dim sodium lights flickered above the cracked pavement like broken stars. It was close to 2 in the morning when he first noticed it. He was half awake, lying on his side beneath a tangle of sheets, mind drifting between dreams and the low buzz of insomnia. His door was shut, his fan whispered in the corner, and the building was still. Then came the light. A flash. Not gradual. Not subtle. It was as if someone had detonated a lightning bolt directly above his bed. Brilliant white, impossibly bright, like a giant flashbulb had burst into life and died in the span of a second. No sound. No heat. Just light. And then, darkness again. Elijah's breath caught in his chest. Every muscle in his body locked up, frozen in that sudden, electric fear that humans have carried since caves and firelight. He didn't move, didn't breathe, just lay there, eyes wide, heart thudding like a fist against a door. And then, slowly, so slowly he felt ashamed. He pulled the blanket up over his head. A grown man, hiding like a child. The minutes crawled by. 10, maybe 15. Then, without warning, the flash came again. Another burst of unnatural light, brighter than any car headlight, too focused to be lightning. Silent. Clean. Impossible. He didn't sleep. Not that night. When morning came, he dressed for work with trembling fingers, not quite sure whether it had really happened. Maybe he dreamed it. Maybe he was overtired. That's what he told himself. Until it happened again. The next night, the light returned. Just once. A single flash that lit his room like a bomb going off. But that was the last time. He lived in that apartment another year. The light never came back. Nothing ever felt off. The space remained cheerful, safe. But Elijah never slept the same way again. There was something unnatural about the way the light had no source. No heat. No reason. It felt, watched, like the light itself had been an eye. Years passed. Elijah left Asheville, built a life for himself, found work in event management. He forgot the light. Or tried to. Until one late October night, just outside of Roanoke, Virginia. He'd finished packing up equipment after a concert in the hills and hitched a ride home with a coworker and his younger brother. They were driving a wide, old sedan along Lead Hollow Road, a stretch of pavement that twisted through forest, silent and barely lit. It was late. Maybe 1:30 a.m. Mist clung to the trees like breath on glass. They were passing a curve when they saw them. 3 figures walking along the shoulder of the road. At first, Elijah thought they were children. Small, no taller than 4 feet, dressed in white. But as the car approached, something in his gut twisted. They weren't children. Each wore what looked like a sheet, a crude imitation of a ghost costume, like something hastily made by a child with scissors and a white curtain. Holes cut where eyes should be, but no faces behind them. And they moved in perfect unison. Their steps rolled and rocked in exact rhythm, like puppets on strings, arms hanging limp, legs sweeping forward in the same unnatural gait. No one in the car spoke. The driver slowed down, curiosity and unease pulling them into silence. They passed within a few feet of the figures. None of them looked up. None reacted. They just kept walking. Elijah turned to watch them disappear in the red wash of the taillights. The mist swallowed them slowly. Step, step, step. They didn't belong to the road, or the night, or anywhere he could name. No one ever brought it up again. Not even the kid in the back seat, who had sat wide-eyed and trembling the entire ride. But the worst of it, the thing that truly rewrote the way Elijah saw the world, came nearly 10 years later, long after he thought the strange days were behind him. He He was working in a bike shop then. A quiet job. Steady. He'd often ride home at night, pedaling along an old, disused railway trail that had been turned into a park. It stretched across wooded hills and picnic clearings, winding through a long stretch of wilderness. It was beautiful during the day, but at night, it was a different world. That night, there was no moon. The trail was pitch black, and Elijah's bike light barely cut through the thick, grainy dark. The crickets had stopped chirping. No breeze, just the soft grind of tires on gravel. Then he saw it. Up ahead, at one of the picnic tables, something was sitting. It took a few seconds for his eyes to adjust, and even then, he couldn't understand what he was looking at. It wasn't a person. It wasn't any shape he recognized. It was a cone, 8 feet tall, narrow, and impossibly dark. Not just black, but absent of color, like a rip in reality. It absorbed the light from his bike. No reflection, no edge, just void. It sat perfectly still on the bench. Not beside it, on the seat. Balanced like it had weight, form, intent. Elijah pedaled slower. His brain fought to process it. And then that feeling came again. The fear. He'd felt it under the blanket in Asheville. He'd felt it in the car passing the faceless children. But this was deeper. Primal. Wrong.